we're going to rank John Cena's greatest rivals. As you all know, the last time is now, as this is his last week ever. So continuing John Cena videos on the channel this week, we're going to do a John Cena's greatest rivals. We'll be ranking his rivals from an S tier to the F tier, or whatever this list wants to classify as. If you haven't already, subscribe down below, leave a like, comment as well. Let's get into the video. So for this list, we have GOAT, You Can't See Me, Hustle, Loyalty, Respect, Never Give Up, and Fine Speech. I guess we'll treat it as a S, A, B, C, and F tier, because I don't really need to have another D tier. But we have all these great rivals here. I believe 22 of them to be exact. So this should be a fun list. Again, we're going to have some fun here and go absolutely insane. So starting this list off, we're going to go from the back. We're going to start with Bray Wyatt. Now, Bray Wyatt and John Cena had some really good feuds throughout their career. You know, they had the one with the Wyatt family and John Cena in 2014, where the Wyatt family cost John Cena the WWE Championship match against Randy Orton at the Royal Rumble, which then led into the Chamber, where they also cost him the Chamber. And then Bray Wyatt was trying to get inside the head, bring out this monster in John Cena, which culminated in their WrestleMania match at WrestleMania 30, which John Cena ultimately won. They did continue to have a couple more matches that year, Extreme Rules and Payback. They had a steel cage match, which Bray would end up winning, making their matches 1-1. Then at Payback, it was last man standing. John Cena ended up besting Bray Wyatt by putting him through one of the crew boxes for like the technician stuff, and then they put another one on top of him, ended up winning the match. So John Cena beat Bray Wyatt in that feud. Then a couple years later in 2020, we had the Firefly Funhouse, which, take it as you will, it's one of the coolest and most unique wrestling matches per se ever. If you even look at it as a match, some people don't consider it a match. Some people just look at it as a moment, which it's fair to say. It all really depends on your imagination and your determination of what that whole situation was. But for me, I'm gonna give Bray Wyatt and John Cena an A, or You Can't See Me ranking, as I thought this was one of John Cena's better feuds throughout his career. Even though it didn't have the most substance to it, it had some really good quality work, and it really felt like you were actually touching on some interesting character work with John, as in the past he felt like there were some times where it was just Super Cena or Superman versus whoever was across the ring. And this story felt like we were actually grasping on some good subjects, with Cena, you know, having that bad guy in him, which eventually he would tap into at the very end of his career. But we all know how that went. But regardless, Bray Wyatt would have been an ultimate guy to have faced Cena in this retirement tour. Unfortunately, he passed away. R.I.P. to Bray Wyatt, one of my favorites of all time. I love the Wyatt family, and his feud with John Cena is one of those that will always stick with me. Next feud we have is with Solo Sikoa, and right off the bat, this is not the worst feud he's ever had, but we're gonna have to give this a C, because this was pretty trash. Never give up. I thought with Solo, he put him over in a match that did nothing for Solo. He kicked his ass. He beat the shit out of him in Crown Jewel in 2023, and basically sent Cena back to Hollywood for a couple months until WrestleMania, where Cena would then come back in with AA during the Bloodline Rules match. But that was pretty much their only interactions, though. They had one promo on SmackDown when Cena had half a voice, and he absolutely cooked this man in like 90 seconds. He gave this man the business, and he was like, "Damn, I don't need the whole time. I cooked you." And I was like, "Damn, that's good shit right there." And what the one thing is, I wish this was able to do more for Solo. I feel like now he's getting to a good point where the work he's been putting in the past couple years is really starting to show through and tell. But unfortunately, this was not one of them, and the matches weren't good. It was basically a glorified squash match with Cena getting his best moves in, and Solo just hitting with 7 spikes and called it a day. So overall, this match has to get a C. Next rivalry we have is Rusev, baby. And they actually had a couple feuds similar to Bray Wyatt. They had one in 2015 where Rusev was undefeated, the United States champion. They had one match at Fastlane, which Rusev ended up making John Cena pass out, technically beating him, which was huge at that point, because John Cena was still kind of high in the pecking order on the roster. He was still pretty much in that main event scene. This was his transition into the mid-card scene, or at least a main eventer going to the mid-card. So this was really big for WWE, and Rusev got really good stuff with this. I really thought that John Cena made Rusev look like $1 million. He honestly made his moves look really good. Like, the Accolade was a believable finisher, and you could imagine him making Roman Reigns pass out because of how good Cena made him look. Now at WrestleMania, they ended up having their United States Championship match where Rusev came out with the tank, and John Cena was able to get the win, which I still think this did a lot for Rusev, even with the loss, because he beat John Cena in that first match. You know, he made him pass out. He looked super strong. So when Cena had to go through it all and distractions to then beat Rusev, it helped him out. And I believe their match, what was it, a 4 corners match in Extreme Rules, I'd like to say, was the last one. And that was no, there was 2. I think it was a 4 corners, and I believe there was also the I Quit match, if I'm not mistaken. And those 2 matches were pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. I like that last man standing match where Rusev tried to pull off the Randy Orton spot and you put him through the pyro. That was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought that was cool. And I enjoyed their later matches with the Battleground pulling the flag match on the stage. I thought it was a little weird, but it was still a cool match, and those two made the best of a weird situation. And I thought, honestly, Rusev is a B-tier rival for John Cena. He's not as bad as Solo is. I think Solo and Cena's feud never, like I said, get off the ground. I think Rusev's definitely did. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Bray Wyatt feud, but still pretty solid feud regardless. All right, the next feud we have is with Carlito, and this one's gonna be a little brief just because there wasn't really too much to work with. We had a little bit of stuff in 2007, but really the most of this was 2004 when Carlito stabbed John Cena, or was it Jesus, I believe, and John Cena was out because he was doing a movie that might have been 12 rounds or something. And then he came back, beat the shit out of his buddy, and then took the U.S. title back from Carlito, which Carlito actually beat John Cena in his debut match for the U.S. title. Kind of crazy. But that was really all the feud was from my memory. And I'm going to have to put this above Solo. I don't think this was too bad. It's definitely helped Carlito come off as a really good mid-card heel, but overall, I didn't think this feud was anything special, and I don't think he was one of the best rivals of Cena's career, but definitely one of the top 30 to 40 names you think of. I feel like at some point, it's just like, oh, yeah, Carlito, he beat him in his first match. Cody Rhodes. Now, this one's tricky because they had their feud this year, and they technically had some matches back then, 2009, part of the legacy, which you could throw that a little bit in here, but I would say that Cody Rhodes, honestly, would probably be in the B tier for rivals for me. Now, I know some people are going to say A tier, and I understand it because they had a really good, compelling story throughout this year. WrestleMania, John Cena had to cheat and be heel to beat Cody Rhodes to win the 17th title. Cody Rhodes then returned at Saturday Night's Main Event, had the tag match at Money in the Bank where he pinned Cena, and then he pinned him again at SummerSlam, which was a 5-star instant classic. And Cena essentially get handed in the torch, if you want to say it like that. And I thought that was a really good moment. I think this feud was solid. I just don't think it could compare to some of these other ones that will end up going above Cody Rhodes. And I just feel that at this point of his career, John Cena definitely helped elevate Cody Rhodes just a little bit, but Cody Rhodes is already a main man. So at some point, I can't really value him getting put over just for the simple fact that he beat Cena. I feel like there has to be a bigger benefit to ranking this in an A tier per se. Sheamus. Now, this one's going to be awkward because I don't think he's a great Cena rival ever. Yeah, I thought the rivalry was okay. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. So for that being said, it's going to go and see. With that said, though, John Cena put Sheamus over like a motherfucker. Bro came into the roster and literally 2 months in became the WWE champion, beating John Cena at a time where John Cena didn't lose to these newcomers like that. So this one really helped put Sheamus on the block. And I think Sheamus' career helped shape up to what it is today. And due thanks to Cena. He really put it off the ground. And then in 2011, they had some tag matches they would work on. I don't know if they ever faced off again. Maybe they did like a house show circuit in like 2015, I'd like to say. But that's really all the matches they had. And then recently, they had the 6-man tag on Raw. But the original rivalry was nothing too special. But he did put Sheamus over in a big way. And it really helped Sheamus at least get off the ground. So I'm going to have to put that in the C tier. But that's not too bad. It could be worse. Next rival we have is the Great Khali. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they had 2 matches. One, I think, was just a normal match where Cena beat him with a roll-up with the STF. The other match was like a falls count anywhere, like One Night Stand 2000 per se. And he got a good match at Khali. I'm not gonna lie to you. That match was a banger. And I think if you haven't watched it, you definitely should, because I feel like John Cena getting a good match out of the Great Khali. And there was other wrestlers who, some were bad, some weren't, but you just wouldn't expect them to have a banger with Cena, and they did. And Khali is one of those guys. So for that reason alone, I mean, I think he has to go in C as well. I just don't think I can put him on the same tier as the Rusev match. I don't know. I don't see him as a great... Now, he's below Sheamus, don't get me wrong. Sheamus, I definitely think is a better rival. And honestly, at this point, I feel like I'm not put Sheamus up a spot, which I think I will. Sheamus will go to B tier, but I don't know. Khali, it wasn't a bad rivalry. It was a good 2 matches, but that was all it was. So I can't really rank that too high on this list, you know? All right, next we have the OTC, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. And with the Roman Reigns, they had a couple matches throughout their career. I know they had a match at Battleground 2014 with Randy and Kane in a 4-way, which they were building to Cena Roman a little bit, but they never really touched on it until 2017, where they had that big match at No Mercy, which is a banger. Y'all definitely should check it out. Cena put over Roman, and honestly, I would say that kind of helped some fans connect with Roman, but not a lot. People still didn't like Roman Reigns, but it was definitely a big victory to have under his belt. And then when they faced off again at SummerSlam 2021, that match felt really big. And I thought that was Cena's best match since 2020. Honestly, until this year, because he didn't really have many, maybe like one match a year. So that was his best match until the retirement tour past like 2018. So for that reason alone, the two great matches they had a lot of good promo work on Raw. We're seeing doing the 1-2-3 missionary position. We had a couple other really good one-liners. And when he cooked Roman on the mic, this has to go in the You Can't See Me or the A tier for rivals. I think he's definitely a better rival for Cena than Cody was. I just don't think we had enough with Cody. I feel like with Roman, we had a couple of things where we could have worked with, and I really felt like that was strong and built off very well. And Cena even had involvement in that main event match to help Cody Rhodes, and it kind of played back on their feud just a little bit, especially with Cena having a feud with another man in that family, which we'll actually rank next, which is the People's Champion, The Rock. So as we all know, John Cena and The Rock was once in a lifetime, aka twice in a lifetime. I was actually there for the second match. I was also there for the third time they went face to face, which was at WrestleMania 40. And this one off the bat is going to be the first one that goes in the GOAT tier or the S tier. I think their feud in 2012 is one of the best work of either men's career. I felt like he finally was playing into that real life, non-kayfabe-esque character work that John Cena so desperately needed. It finally felt like Cena wasn't just this kiss-ass babyface. He was really starting to put the brakes and really go heavy at The Rock. He was doing some of his best promo work ever. This is where John Cena went from an okay promo to a really, really good, like, I'm top guy, I'm that shit promo. I'm not gonna lie. He cooked The Rock on the mic 2012. I'm gonna be so dead ass with you. I don't know if there was many promos, if any, that The Rock cooks John better than John cooked him, because John was making him with whether the promo on his wrist, whether it was, talking about Fruity Pebbles and, making the jokes back at him with the Tooth Fairy. John Cena and The Rock was some fucking cinema shit. The match of 28 was good. I enjoyed the 29 match. I thought it was better than what most people say. I also was at their tag match in 2011 Survivor Series, which was a once in a lifetime experience. So again, for those reasons alone, all the great work and promo work they had, this is going to go in the S tier. Next, we have Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle is going to go in the A tier for me. And the reason I say that is because I thought his stuff, obviously, John Cena debuted against him with the Ruthless Aggression. So that's an all-time memory. Guy, give him some bonus points for that. They had a feud in 2004 a couple times, actually. I know they had a match prior to WrestleMania 20. I think it was a triple threat with The Big Show, John Cena, and Kurt Angle, where all three men were trying to vie for a championship match against Eddie Guerrero, which Kurt Angle made John Cena tap. One of the rare times John Cena ever tapped out. And honestly, they had another feud, I think, later that year where it was the Booker T, John Cena's event match series, and Kurt Angle was like the GM who kind of tried to get in the way of John or whatnot. And then I know John Cena beat Kurt Angle before WrestleMania 21, I think it was, to become the number one contender to JBL. So for those reasons alone, and they also had the stuff with Shawn Michaels and later in 2005 as well. So for those reasons alone, he's a great John Cena rival. They had really good matches. I thought the stories were pretty good. Now, I was a little too young to know every promo they had every week, but I've gone back and, with revisionist history, I can tell you confidently that work was really good, and that was A tier shit. Next superstar we have on this list is The Miz, the most must-see WWE superstar of all time, two-time Grand Slam champion, and he beat John Cena at WrestleMania 27. But for a couple of reasons, he's going to go A tier. Now, I know some people might not like that main event WrestleMania match, but still, it's a main event WrestleMania match regardless. I thought his stuff with John Cena in 2011 was solid. I'll be honest with you. I thought they had some other programs. The one in 2017, really, I thought was very nice at WrestleMania 33, where it was Nikki and John versus Miz and Maurice. You also had a couple other things throughout their career. 2009, they also had the feud, which was really fun. I know they had their moments and segments in 2010. They had a little bit of stuff in 2012, nothing too heavy, just a couple matches here and there. 2011, they also had John Cena and The Rock versus The Miz and R-Truth. I feel like with just all the solid work they put together, Miz is one of those memorable faces you have against John Cena, because again, he was one of those guys who was the top guy when John Cena was around, and not the top guy, but a top guy next to John Cena in 2011, 2012. And I really felt like he helped bring the best out of John Cena sometimes, and it really was a very perfect opponent for John Cena's babyface character, the Super Cena. The Miz played the perfect conduit. Alberto Del Rio. That's the name I looked at, and we're going to rank him here. He will be the first fine speech guy, aka the F tier, because Alberto Del Rio and John Cena, I don't like the rivalry at all. You could say their matches were decent, but I didn't like the rivalry. It just felt like it was a USA versus Mexico gimmick thing. It didn't really feel like there was any reasoning to it besides that, and they even played into that well. John Cena smoked him every time they wrestled, and that was really all it was to it. Every time you wrestled, John Cena won. The one time John Cena didn't win, he got locked out of the Hell in a Cell. So for that reason, and I just didn't enjoy any of the work they did. They had an arm wrestling match for some SmackDown. Yeah, Alberto Del Rio F tier. Next one we're going to go with is A-Town Down Austin Theory. And for the one promo they had on Raw that I thought was decent enough, this is going to go in the C tier and avoid the F tier because this did nothing for Theory, which is unfortunate. And I really wish Theory was able to play a part in the John Cena retirement tour. I thought if they had another interaction or a tag match or just a match, regardless, could have helped do something for Theory here and, put him over just a little bit. But either he got hurt or they wanted to go a different direction, and that's not what they ended up wanting to do. So they had a match at WrestleMania 39. It wasn't a great WrestleMania match, to be honest with you. I feel like you could have done a lot more with this. But overall, Austin Theory, again, that promo on Raw, and they had a couple other promos involved with that story. I thought they were pretty good. So for that reason alone, it goes in the C tier. Next superstar we have here is JBL. My mouse just happened to be on him, so we're going to go with JBL. And he will be someone who is going to be ranked high in that A tier. Honestly, I want to rank him in the S tier, which I think I'm going to. JBL is definitely a top 5 to top 7 John Cena rival ever. Probably top 7. But they had the feud in 2005, which really helped put over John Cena at WrestleMania. They had that bloodbath at Judgment Day, which is something that's really fondly talked about. I've seen that match like once in my life. I probably should go back and check it out, which I probably do it this week, with him retiring and just trying to go back, relive some of the best moments. But JBL did a hell of a job being the perfect foil to John Cena, helping him get over with the time is now, becoming the top guy in WWE, or at least on the path to it. I thought Batista might have been higher than him in 2005, but 2006 came along. John Cena was that guy. They also had a feud in 2008, 2009. He fought JBL in 2009 Royal Rumble for the World Heavyweight Championship, which he defeated JBL to retain his World Heavyweight title. And they had a match at Backlash 08. I think it was Cena, JBL, Triple H, and Randy Orton, which then led to a JBL Cena was an I Quit match or some other stipulation match, which I think JBL won one, Cena may have won another. They had a couple matches in 2008, and I thought it was still good work for JBL being later into his career. And for those reasons, I think it's an S tier feud, an S tier rival. And JBL, man, fucking shout out to him. One of the best commentators ever, who always made Big Match John feel that much more important. The next feud we have is the Nexus. And oh my God, I feel so bad about this one, but this was a horrible feud, man. What could have been something great and what could have been a fire feud ended up not working out because John Cena beat him at SummerSlam, which I don't think was the wrong move. I just think they went about it the wrong way. I think you made Cena look a little too strong against that faction. He shouldn't have been able to beat him the way he did. It should have been barely scraping by, and then after the match, he barely could walk, or he got taken out in an ambulance or something like that, and it helped put that group over. Now, I don't think the group would have amounted to anything anyway. Some people think it would. I don't think it would have, considering half the group became nothing after the match and after the whole breakup really happened with the main guys, Wade Barrett and Heath Slater being the two guys who actually got something out of it. You could say Ryback as well, and I'll give it to you. Ryback definitely became something. So those 3 superstars, the rest of them can't really say lick a dick about anyone else. So, I mean, you might like the Nexus. I was never a fan of the group. I just didn't see all this potential that everyone else did. Some people want to say, oh, they could have been the Shield before the Shield in a way. But no, I don't think so. I think this action ran its course the way it did. Now, I do wish that could have went a little better, but this was not a good John Cena rival at all. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like it. Next, we have the Big Show. And you know what? You're going to call me crazy. You're going to say it's a hot take. You're going to say I'm a nut job for it. Big Show's going in the S tier. Yeah. I'm putting the Big Show as a top John Cena rival of all time. I think they've had so much work for that. I can even talk about they've had a big feud in 04 where Cena being for the U.S. title. They had the feud and they had some matches in the 6 it was, when Big Show was ECW champion. They had a couple matches in 2008 and 2009. They had work in 2012 where John Cena, Punk, and the Big Show had that triple threat at SummerSlam, and John Cena versus Big Show at No Way Out. We also have him part of the Edge story at WrestleMania 25. If we go back in time and look at that, was pretty cool. He was also part of the Authority angle where there was the Authority versus John Cena, which are also on this list, and Big Show was part of that when he turned on John Cena at the Survivor Series match. And they had another match after that fact, and for those reasons alone, Big Show being such a big part of many parts of his career, honestly, he was just a guy who was always there, whether he was an ally or a rival. So for those reasons, I'm putting him in the S tier, and this is my list. So if you don't like it, tough shit. Let's go off of that. We're gonna go to the Authority next. We're gonna put them in the C tier. I thought this was a pretty decent, or actually no, that's the B tier. My bad. The B tier of feuds. Now I don't think this is talked about enough. Now it was nothing too crazy. It was only a couple months, because they honestly kept John Cena and the Authority relatively apart for a majority of that. Now, Money in the Bank 2014 is kind of when they really started the show, signed to this when John Cena became the new WWE champion. The Authority weren't happy about it. Then would eventually lead into Seth Rollins versus John Cena as a feud for a hot minute. And then we had the Authority gimmick, which was a part of this. And that's when the big Survivor Series 2014 3-1 Dolph Ziggler comeback came into play. And that was a really awesome moment, and John Cena actually, I feel like people forget that it was him being the major foil of that match and the big feud for the Authority. And then after the fact, when they won, Seth Rollins put his foot on Edge's neck, tried to cause a turn, and then after that, when the Authority were hired back, John Cena had to fight for his guy's job, and then the story kind of fizzled out from there. But that couple 6 months was some really good quality work, and for those reasons alone, we're gonna put him in the B tier. One person that's not on this list that I just noticed is Seth freaking Rollins. And if I had to be honest with you, Seth Rollins would 100% go in this A tier right next to The Miz. I think all their matches were really good, whether it was SummerSlam, whether it was that Raw 2018 Gauntlet match. I thought John Cena and Seth Rollins had some really good work for quite a few years. TLC, Royal Rumble 2015. The list can go on and on for quite a little bit. So I feel like Seth Rollins was one of the best guys to go across the ring from John Cena ever throughout his career. Next person we have on this list is Kevin Owens. They had their matches at Money in the Bank, Battleground, and what was the last one? Was it Payback? No, maybe. I don't know. There was 3 Elimination Chamber. Sorry, that was the 3 matches: Elimination Chamber, Battleground, and Money in the Bank, where Kevin Owens actually beat John Cena in the first match they had, with John Cena getting the W's in the next 2 matches. So, he made Kevin Owens look like $1 million, bro. That shit was fucking awesome. And this is gonna be an A tier rival for John Cena, because god damn, bro, the matches they had where John Cena was really revitalizing his career and just showing like, yo, I can actually wrestle, like I got a repertoire, and he showed and shined perfectly against Kevin Owens. I think those reasons, and just Kevin Owens being put over and turned into the superstar, a big part because of how well he did against John Cena, is the reason why he's a top rival of all time. We look at Umaga, and they had that big match at Royal Rumble 2007, which is an all-time classic. And I feel like for that alone, it gets a B tier for me. I mean, they didn't really have too much one-on-one work outside of that big match. They maybe had a match here or there, but that big match alone was a really good match, a really good story against Umaga, who was the big powerhouse and might have been undefeated at that time. Wasn't old enough to really remember, but Umaga and John Cena, man. If y'all haven't watched that, make sure you go look it up on YouTube, because that's something that's underrated. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, next one we have is Batista. Similar to these other guys, Batista was one of the top rivals for John Cena throughout his career. Any match they had typically was pretty good. They had a SummerSlam 08 battle at WrestleMania 26, technically Elimination Chamber 2010, where Batista squashed John Cena, where Vince McMahon was a part of it, which I don't even know how, why, or what we were doing there. But Batista and John Cena, their matches in 2010 really is what helps carry this up the list. They also were basically the top guys in the company for quite a few years. 2005, 6, I would even say 2007, it was John Cena and Batista at the top of that list. And man, it was genuinely a conversation whether or not who was the top dog. That John Cena definitely outlasted and outbested Batista, but in 2010, man, they were still 2 top dogs in your company. And Batista, he had some really good promo work against John, and for those reasons, I'll put Batista in the A tier, man. Yeah. Brock Lesnar. All right, now this might be a hot take. I'm only putting this in the B. I don't think this was necessarily a great rivalry. I think this was passable. This was decent. They had a good match in Extreme Rules 2012. They had a match at SummerSlam, which was actually an all-time great match. Whether you like it, the squash or not, I thought it was something that you never seen before, and the shock value worked right there. They fought Night Champions, Royal Rumble 2015, and WrestlePalooza, which was a pretty bad match. Now, because we did have good SummerSlam and Extreme Rules, but we also had the bad with, you could technically say SummerSlam as well, and WrestlePalooza. So this can't go high in the A tier. This has to stay in the B tier, and I'm okay with saying that. We're down to the nitty gritty here, and I'm not going to waste everybody's time. Edge, Randy Orton, CM Punk, AJ Styles are all GOAT level fucking John Cena rivals. Now, we can talk about each of them, but AJ Styles, they have the trilogy of matches. They also have the fourth one at Clash in Paris this year. No, not Clash of Paris. It was Crown Jewel. That was in Australia. That match was a banger. I don't know why I was talking about Paris. AJ Styles over Paris. But AJ Styles, John Cena, I think they might be as close as you can get to in-ring soulmates besides John Cena's in-ring soulmate, CM Punk. We have Money in the Bank. We got SummerSlam. We got another SummerSlam. We have Night of Champions. We have Raw. We have Night of Champions this past year. And every time on the mic, we have multiple pipe bombs. We have their mic work, the basic thugonomics, CM Punk. We have it all. John Cena and CM Punk are each other's greatest rivals ever. John Cena, CM Punk is going to be number one here for a reason. And I'll stand on it. Some people might say it's Edge, which Edge I think will be a safe number 2 or 3, depending on how you want to look at it. I think AJ and Randy Orton take up that next little bit of the list where it will make up the top 5. Randy Orton, they had 100,000 matches. I mean, we could look at Breaking Point. We could look at Royal Rumbles, Hell in a Cells. We did it everywhere. I Quits, Last Man Standing. These guys had every match under the sun. Backlash this year, which is a banger, where the roles were switched for the first time ever, which is really unique and definitely a fun dynamic they had in their match. Edge, we have the TLC match, the WrestleMania 25 match of 2009. We also had that Last Man Standing where the Big Show actually got involved in that, where he threw Cena through a fan. We have the John Cena's dad promo with Edge. Some of their other promos were really good, like in the ring before Mania 29. They had another match after that, I believe. So those reasons, Edge, I mean, everyone knows how good the quality of the work was. So I feel like that's something I can't really attest to and just talk about because I feel like I've already talked your brain off too much today. We have DX left, and Triple H will go in the GOAT tier, and Shawn Michaels will also go in the GOAT tier to wrap up this list. Now you can't see it. I'll move my face. But that's going to be our list here. I mean, DX, they had back-to-back Mania main events against John Cena. They actually were in a triple threat with John Cena in 2009 Survivor Series, which was a classic match. John Cena and Triple H were two guys who often found themselves across the ring from each other over and over and had some really, really good matches across 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. And they had a match in 2018 at the greatest Royal Rumble ever. And Shawn Michaels and John Cena had some banger matches in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. I believe they had maybe had a match. Definitely had a match in 2009, and they might have interacted in 2010. And the Royal Rumble they did. So two guys who I believe are definitely lower in that GOAT list because I feel like the other guys had more history with him with the Big Show. But I think them, like Big Show, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, definitely are GOAT tier John Cena rivals. But that's my list. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. This might be a little bit of a longer video. I hope you stay till the end. Make sure you check out the new videos coming every single day. New collabs coming this week. I'll see you in the next one. I'm Made, and I'm out.